against Israel in response to the killing of the political leader of Hamas in Iran last month. And we can speak now to Laura Blumenfeld, who's a Middle East analyst and former senior policy advisor on the State Department's Israeli-Palestinian negotiating team. Thank you for being with us. I mean, first of all, Israel is bracing itself for an Iranian attack. Do you think Iran will, in some shape or form, retaliate for what happened?
I mean, that's the question of the day, and in the Middle East of the night, because every night it seems like, the moment has come. The West is asking Iran to stand down, but how can they save face, right? The point of revenge, and they have vowed revenge, is to shift dignity back into balance. To achieve that kind of balance, I mean, are they getting there just by the psychological torture, the squirming that they've been watching vigorously, the Israelis, as they brace for that attack, or do they need to take it one step further?
When Iran did retaliate, I think it was back in April, in the end, it was a bit of a damp squib. Most of their drones and missiles were actually shot down by Israel.
Absolutely. I mean, revenge, like any currency, has, can be debased. And the Iranians are looking at a kind of retaliation, inflation rather, and they feel like in order to exact that price, they have to up the ante. So the big question here is we're kind of on a toggle switch between negotiating and decimating, and sometimes it seems like we're doing both at the same time. Secretary Blinken has postponed his trip to the region. I'm going to read that optimistically, which is not that there's an imminent attack, but rather that there are some details that need to be hammered out for that ceasefire deal. That is the off-ramp. That is the face-saving move that can save the region and the Iranians from having to strike back. If they can negotiate that deal, the hostages are released, it will have at least a pause, if not a complete ending to the war in Gaza, and we can start thinking about reconstruction. So it's all based on that. I worked at for Secretary Kerry under President Obama on Israeli-Palestinian negotiations. I can tell you that we spent 3 days haggling over a comma. So I'm not sure that it'll be right away, but if at least we're in that direction, that's the good way to go.
But I mean, yes, there are these peace talks supposedly scheduled for Thursday in Doha. But we've seen so many false dawns, haven't we, when it comes to peace talks, trying to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, trying to secure the release of the hostages. We've seen lots of optimism from the White House that a peace deal's just around the corner, and then it never quite happens.
Well, there are a few things that are happening, not from the White House, but actually from the region itself, that do give me some optimism. One is that the Minister of Defense, Gallant, for the first time is coming out publicly against Prime Minister Netanyahu to put pressure on him to take the deal. He's saying this notion of absolute victory is unreachable. Until now, you could say maybe that the ends justify the means. But if you can agree that the ends are unattainable, then the means are unsustainable. So there's that. And there's also the hostages, which, although they are under lock and key, they do hold the key to unlocking the region. One of them was killed, according to Hamas, by one of the guards. 2 female hostages were seriously wounded, again, by the Hamas guards who are holding them. That puts a lot of pressure on Israel. On the other hand, with Hania assassinated, there's pressure on Sinwar to deliver for his people, again, at least temporary relief.
Very good to talk to you. Thank you so much, Laura Blumenfeld.
Terrific. Great to be here.
OK, Middle East analyst and former senior policy advisor on the State Department's Israeli-Palestinian negotiating team. Thank you for your time.